Oh yeah, the production value's gone way up now. So if you don't know, recently Nintendo announced that they're shutting down their 3DS servers. That means a couple of things. More importantly, it means that Dragon Quest 7, which has some DLC maps that you can only get after a certain point in the game, they'll be gone. Dead, gone. And that's a problem. So let me paint a picture for you lovely people watching me right now. It's the 1st of March. At this point, I had been out of hospital around 2 weeks. I was recovering from many bowel ulcers. That wasn't fun. So I'm spending a lot of time in bed recovering. So that's when I saw that Sack Chief put up a tweet talking about the shutdown of these 3DS servers. Basically just reiterating that Dragon Quest 7's DLC was going to be going offline. So anyone new coming to the game or anyone that just hadn't gotten their hands on a copy of the game yet was never going to get to play these DLC maps. And the only way to preserve them was, well, making the cleanest save possible and uploading said save from a hacked 3DS to preserve the game. So Sack Chief in this Twitter thread kind of described what would need to be done hypothetically to make a clean save. Firstly, you'd have to give the hero a neutral name like Erdrick or his canonical name Auster. Him and Maribel would have to be kept dead at all times, while Kiefer would have to be level 50. If you're unfamiliar with Dragon Quest 7, I don't want to spoil anything, but Kiefer is a temporary character. He isn't in your party for very long. So why would you bring him to level 50? If you get Kiefer to level 50, he will get an insane defense buff, which makes him basically invulnerable to attack. This will basically give you the ability to explore all of the DLC maps with a pretty overpowered character. I read through Sack Chief's thread and I initially thought, haha, no. Rest in peace, DLC. You will be missed. And then the next day, Sack Chief made a follow-up tweet, basically saying no one had stepped up to the task. And that's when I began thinking, look, I love Dragon Quest. If you don't know that, I'm pretty good at Dragon Quest. I'm literally bedridden. So if anyone was in a position to do this, unfortunately it was me. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, I said, feck it, and took out my DS and started. This was like the 2nd of March and we have until the 8th of April. Using a guide by Ignacia and referencing a speed run by High Spirits, I got to work. I named my character Auster, and after slugging through the opening hour of the game, I was into kind of the guts of the combat and the project, let's call it. Once I had started grinding, it was easier than I thought to keep Maribel and Auster dead, considering they stay at level 1, so they have pretty low HP. As someone who is no stranger to spending hours and hours grinding Seeds of Life and Seeds of Strength in Dragon Quest XI, I am no stranger to mindless, tedious, repetitive grinding in video games. I was basically in my element. I just kind of called my friends or watched a movie or YouTube while doing whatever the guide told me to do, basically. And once you get Hanlon in your party, he's kind of like a temporary NPC that joins your party during the Ballymolloy era. Hanlon will do all the heavy lifting and he'll heal you, so you're just pretty much running in a circle and spamming A. I got to level 10 in like 4 or 5 hours. Crabble Rouser, the first boss in the game, was profoundly easy because once again I had Hanlon in my party, and when the battle ended and you kind of get triggered into a battle with Maeve, I just gave her the wooden doll to trigger the battle to end immediately. Auster and Maribel get automatically revived for that battle, so you're going to want to make sure that battle with Maeve doesn't happen. So overall, Ballymolloy was a really strong start for me doing this, and it gave me a lot of confidence for the rest of the project. The next area, Emberdale, was a little bit more challenging. The grinding spot was deep in the bowels of a volcano, and there was a spot there to automatically heal, but it was still pretty tedious. I just quick saved every 15-20 minutes, reloaded the game, and continued triggering battles. Even at level 10, it's pretty easy to die because of those lovely shabby cats who just blow sand in Kiefer's eyes every turn, making him unable to act, so they can just chip away at your health. That didn't enrage me at all. But eventually we got Kiefer to level 12 and he was able to take on the boss, which again was pretty easy. I just made sure Kiefer had his inventory full of medicinal herbs. Kind of did just like attack 5 times, heal, attack 5 times, heal, attack 5 times, heal, until the boss was dead. Emberdale was mildly frustrating. We got through it with just a few roadblocks. But at this point, I had no idea what I was in for. But let's move on. Ragenstein? Ragenstein had no boss. So I just used High Spirit Speedrun to kind of blast through that section. And after that, I had access to the Haven. This is where the fun begins. Firstly, I had to recruit 3 monsters to upgrade the town. Then I had access to the DLC download bar. This is where I learned that the DLC in Dragon Quest VII wasn't quite like downloading DLC in other games. In Dragon Quest IX, you just got to download like a package and it was just like, bloop, 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 bloop. Your DLC is downloaded, you have all the stuff now, have fun. Dragon Quest VII is not like that. You have to individually download each map. And there's 56 of them and you're only able to hold 24 in a single save, essentially making it impossible to preserve them. To say I was distressed would be a horrific understatement. You would think before I started to do this, I would have had a bit more forethought into how I was going to do this and potential solutions to certain problems that may arise during this. I kind of just assumed that Ignatius' guide would tell me everything I need to know, which isn't really the purpose of his guide. His guide is more so just to cover how to get Super Kiefer and actually how to progress Kiefer to level 100 and to kind of tame all the monsters on the different DLC maps you can download. It's only kind of partially referencing the preservation of the DLC maps. For other part is, I didn't think I'd make it this far, honestly. If we are going to segue for a second to be a more serious note, during this little week of my life, I had never been more stressed in my entire life. Like, I was on prednisolone for the ulcers and I didn't sleep. You know, some people turn to alcohol, some people turn to drugs. I turned to Dragon Quest VII. So, swings and roundabouts. After the whole realization that I couldn't download all the maps to one save file, I kind of panicked. I was asking for help online. I just kind of pestered Sakchief for any form of guidance, as I did a lot throughout this project. Thank you very much, Sakchief, for putting this project in the hands of a dumbass like me. Eventually, I decided I would spread the 56 DLC across the 3 available save files that I could have on a game cartridge and have one main save that had kind of the best DLC maps on it. That was the only solution I could think of, and upload all 3 saves. So with that crisis kind of sussed out, it was time to get Kiefer to level 50. In hindsight, I still don't know why this part was necessary. It's not really necessary, like, at all. But again, desperate for distraction. And like I said earlier, it is the best way to enjoy the DLC maps, as well as kind of being like a little present for anyone that downloaded my save file. There are many methods to achieving Super Kiefer. They're all quite tedious. The quickest method to getting Kiefer to level 50, sorry, my slime was facing the wrong way, is through upgrading the Haven to its kind of best form, then finding the Tombola ticket. You're going to want a quick save outside the Haven, then go in, play the Tombola, and if you don't get a gold ball, you restart and load up the quick save, play Tombola again, and do that again until you get the gold ball. But the thing is, when you get the gold ball, you get the extra elevating shoes, which will award you 2 XP for every single step you take. Oh yeah, it's important for me to mention now, if you are going to use Ignatius' guide, that there is a typo in the guide that says you only have to download 19 DLC maps to upgrade the Haven to the maximum form. You need 20. It's absolutely 20, because I downloaded 19 and the Haven didn't upgrade, and I thought I broke the game somehow and I did everything wrong. And so I impulse bought another copy of Dragon Quest VII because I thought I'd have to use the Street Pass method. Then I just decided I'm going to try downloading 20, and sure enough, it was 20. So, yeah, now I have a copy of Dragon Quest 7 that's sealed, by the way, and I don't know what to do with it. I've been thinking of doing a giveaway. It's PAL version of Dragon Quest 7. I don't know if that would interest anyone. I don't know how many people would want to enter a giveaway for a copy of Dragon Quest 7. If it was a copy of like Dragon Quest 5, yeah, I'd absolutely do a giveaway, but it's just 7. Let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in obtaining a copy of Dragon Quest 7, then I might consider hosting a giveaway. But anyway, now with the Haven fully upgraded, it was time to do the Tombola, which was the worst and hardest part of this challenge for me. The guide gave absolutely no indication of how long this would take and what even the odds were of getting a gold ball. And I actually found out later the gold ball isn't even the top prize. It's like another Easter egg, essentially. It's a secret prize. So the odds were not in my favour. You should be able to get 2 tombola tickets. Tombola. You should be able to get 2 tombola tickets, but I messed up and I was only able to get 1, which meant this was very, very tedious. So I sat there reloading saves and playing tombola for 9 hours straight. I still see that old woman and her multicolored balls of disappointment in my nightmares. That is a sentence. But by hour 6, I had the button motions down to a fine art, so I was basically able to do it without looking, only kind of glancing at the screen to see what colour the ball was. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that Dragon Quest jackpot music plays when you get the golden ball, I probably would have missed it and just reloaded the game. Let me tell you, I felt like Emma Stone winning her Oscar. It was a good feeling.
I don't know what I'm saying. Oh my God, I'm totally... Okay.
But now the Super Kiefer challenge had basically just begun. I tried following the guide's method of putting the shields on Kiefer and just spamming the A button anytime a battle was triggered, but I found that like battles were being triggered like every minute or two. There's also something I noticed about the game is that it intentionally spawns monsters out from under your feet as you're running, and that's something that's definitely coded in the game. They would literally just spawn right in front of you. It was definitely a proximity thing. It wasn't just monsters spawn like they do in Dragon Quest 9 or Dragon Quest 11. They were out to get you. At first, the monsters continued to chase me even after I was level 15, which made me really angry. I was like, oh, the guide lied. And then I realized that I didn't change my lineup of my party, which the guide does tell you to do. And I didn't realize this until like level 25. So, we're not talking about it. But that doesn't resolve the issue of monsters spawning out from under your feet and triggering a battle regardless. So I had to come up with something creative. For a while, I decided I'd just run manually and have something on the TV in the background and speed up the process as much as possible, but that was sacrificing my sanity in the process. I did some math, and while running, Kiefer earns around 460 XP per minute. So using that figure and the divination service at the church, I would determine how many minutes it would take to get to the next level. The issue was this drove me insane. So I probably did the manual running from like the mid-20s into the late 30s. Zach Chief offered to show me how to put an XP multiplier on, but I decided against it because I was worried that it would affect the kind of cleanness of the save, and also I have too much pride. Sick and twisted pride. So I fiddled with the game for a while. I tried many different things. Nothing was really working and nothing stopped the monsters from spawning out from under my feet. Until I realised that if I have Kiefer walk instead of run, he makes a smaller circle, and that limited how many monsters he could possibly encounter. What I ended up doing is I looked at the map and I spotted a crevice by the ocean, kind of northeast of Emberdale. It's just the right size for Kiefer to walk in a circle in, and because the crevice is so small, instead of spawning under his feet, the monsters spawn just outside the crevice. That way he can pretty much walk in a circle indefinitely. You don't have to babysit the DS. I just put a bit of blue tack and a hair tie on the DS and left it to do the work. It definitely paves the way for people to do Super Kiefer in the future, which is pretty neat. Also, I found it funny how, like, because the monsters spawn right outside the crevice, they won't want to chase you, but they also don't run away. They just kind of stand there watching you and they keep spawning. I was kind of big headed about finding this exploit, I won't lie. I'll do a little hair flip. Yeah, that's all I'm allowed. At around this point, Sakshi messaged me being like, nobody else seemed to have stepped up to take on this task. So I felt like a goddamn Dragon Quest deity at this stage. There's still frustrations with this method. A few times I would wake up after what I thought was a nice long night of Kiefer leveling up just to find that he was just standing still with the camera panning around him, like those 360 glam cams that they have at award shows, just because the blue tack lost its stick or something went out of place. But after like 5 days, Kiefer was level 50. When I reached level 50, up here, I was like, I did it. I'm a winner. I'm a winner forever. And I stayed up until like 3 a.m. to hit that milestone. And by the way, this was only like a week after I initially took on the project. I was feckin' thrilled with myself. Considering a Kiefer being level 50 is kind of unnecessary, I feel like anyone could have done this with like 10 hours of gameplay if you just didn't want Super Kiefer. But I'm so glad I did this. Not only now is there a save file with the 56 DLC maps, there's now this cool little Easter egg that's been activated that people can mess around with too without half as much grinding. Without any of the grinding. It's also worth mentioning that, like, after I did this, another person in Zach Chief's Discord, Danny Fofani, started taking on this project too. And they have been putting in just as much work as I have. They've been kind of covering the save files just in case my save files aren't compatible with like American consoles. So shout out to Danny Fofani for taking on the same task I did to cover our asses. They deserve a lot of credit too. I needed this project. I needed the distraction. It could not have come at a better time for me, honestly. And this was a great opportunity for me to distract myself and also get involved with the Dragon Quest community. It felt like giving a little present back to the community of a video game that I've loved so deeply for the past 15 years. I'm thankful for Ignatius' guide and High Spirits speedrun that I was using to follow. I forgot to mention the fact that I realized after uploading my saves that I didn't have access to the 3 story-based DLCs, which actually aren't available until the post-game. So this project's not totally done yet. I still need to beat the game before April 8th. I'll be posting my updates on that to Twitter as well, if you want to follow that. I'll update on Twitter as well if I do plan to do a giveaway with Dragon Quest 7, and I have many, many more Dragon Quest videos to come. For now, my name's Grania. And evidently, I love Dragon Quest. See ya. What the fuck am I doing? I'm talking to a slime.